Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Jessica McDonald. I'm a knitting pattern designer and I'm coming to you from a tiny town in the mountains of Idaho. Today I have a finished object to show you, which you can see I have on, and I also have an almost finished sweater here for my whip to show off to you in just a minute. Before I get into the sweaters though, can you please like this video so YouTube will show it to more people, and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any new videos. Also, if you like my sweater designs, please sign up for my email newsletter. The link to do so is in the description box down below this video. You will get a special welcome email newsletter that gives you a discount code for 20% off your first purchase, and you will also get the best discount on any new pattern releases, along with a lot of really helpful emails that will make your knitting life easier and more joyful. So let's talk about what I have on. I'm going to stand up to show it to you because the magic in this sweater is at the bottom. This is Autumn Snowfall, and the appeal of this sweater, or the main feature of this sweater, is this band of color work around the hem. It is a top-down seamless drop shoulder construction, so it has a little bit of a loose, oversized fit, and then you come down to this beautiful snowflake at the bottom. And I have just thrown it on over the dress I was wearing today. I didn't intentionally make this outfit, but actually I think it looks pretty cute. This sweater is now out. I'm filming this a couple days before, but I'm going to release this video on Tuesday, August 20th, and that is the day that this sweater pattern goes live. So if you like this design, the pattern is now available to you. You can go down in the description box down below this video and find links directly to the pattern. If you're signed up for my email newsletter, make sure you check your inbox for your special subscriber discount code, and if you are not signed up for my email newsletter, you can sign up for my email newsletter and get a special discount code that you can use when you buy this pattern. So this is Autumn Snowfall. Like I just said, it is a top-down seamless drop shoulder, which you can see the distinctive line here on the shoulder. Maybe if I turn the other way, you'll see it better so that the light from the window is falling on it. You can see the distinctive line here. That is very, it kind of shows you that this is the construction method that this sweater uses. In every sweater that I've ever seen that uses this construction method, there is always this line along the shoulder that is quite defined, because you start at the back neck, then you work the increases here, and then you pick up stitches for the shoulder, and that's what creates this line with the little stitch or two that's between where the increases are placed and where you've picked up the stitches for the front. This is a really fantastic construction method because you get a nicely shaped shoulder on a drop shoulder sweater, but you don't have to use any short rows, you don't have to use any finicky techniques or anything. It's very simple, it's just increases. You get a really nicely shaped shoulder line, and you can still knit the whole sweater top down so that you can modify the length of your body. You could even modify the depth of your armhole. You can modify all of the lengths of the sweater to fit your body perfectly, and it's very easy to do because you're knitting top down. When you're knitting bottom up, it's a little more difficult to do that because you can't try it on as you go and you can't customize it quite as easily. I just think it's a lot easier to modify those lengths when you're knitting top down versus bottom up. So, if you want a complete overview of how this sweater is put together, if you want to see a complete walkthrough of the construction method, I have filmed a video that talks all about how you put this sweater together, and I will put a link to that video in the description box down below. It's called the Autumn Snowfall Construction Overview. So if you want to see exactly how this sweater is put together before you buy the pattern, or if you've already bought the pattern and you want to walk through it with somebody, you go ahead and click on that video and I will walk through the whole construction and how this sweater is put together with you, so you can see exactly how it's done and you won't be confused about any of the instructions. This sweater, Autumn Snowfall, uses North Bay Fiber Company Heritage Sport. This is a US made woolen spun sport weight yarn. It is really beautiful. If you can get your hands on some of this, I say go for it. You know I love woolen spun yarn. And for this, like, I'm gonna stand up so you can see it. It is just really soft and lofty and smooth while you're knitting it, and it makes a really nice lightweight fabric. It's not stiff, it's not scratchy, it's not rustic. It's just really soft and lofty and lightweight. I really love it. I knit my Silver Lake shawl out of the DK weight version. I think there's also a fingering weight version now too in this base, the Heritage Sport. It's a really nice yarn and I highly encourage you to buy it. And if you want to use this yarn to knit this sweater, Jill has put together some kits. As of right now when I'm filming, I don't know if the kits are gonna go live Tuesday or Wednesday. So if you're here on Tuesday, check in the description box down below. I might have a link to the kits, but if they're not live yet, I'll put the link in when they go live. If you're here on Tuesday and there's no link, sign up for my email newsletter and you'll get an email when the kits go live so that you can grab a kit. I don't know the colorways she's gonna put up. Her sample that she knit is in a completely different color scheme. I can't remember the name of the color she used as her main color, but it's like a dark blue gray. And then she also used the white for the snowflake. So check in the description box down below for the link to the kits, or sign up for my email newsletter if the link is not there yet. Because the kits should go live by Wednesday at the very latest. Anyway, look how pretty. I love this snowflake, this giant snowflake. I really love these branches. They're my favorite thing. I love them so much. Anyway, this is Autumn Snowfall. The pattern is out now. Go run and grab it. Oh, it is a crew neck. I know that a lot of people, I get a lot of like emails from people who are saying, your hair is beautiful, but will you please get it out of the way? So here is the neckline. It is a nice, thick, ribbed neckline. It's about 2 inches deep. I wanted it to be really nice and thick because I just think it looks super cozy when you've got a nice, thick neckline. So it's a nice, thick crew neckline. Maybe we'll see if my hair will stay out of the way for 2 seconds. There is the neckline. Oh. It's kind of hard for me to remember to move my hair out of the way because it's always down. That's how I fix my hair when I'm feeling fancy, is I leave it down. Otherwise it's usually in a braid or put up out of the way as I go about my mom life. Anyway, this is Autumn Snowfall and the pattern is out now. So check out the link below and go and grab a copy of the pattern. Next, let's talk about my whip. Before I talk about this whip, I want to go on a little bit of a lecture. So I get a lot of emails from people saying, can I knit this pattern in a different weight yarn? Please don't. Please don't do that. I have very specifically graded each pattern for the gauge that works with the yarn weight that I used. If you use a different weight yarn in that pattern and work that pattern at a different gauge, you're going to get a very different fit. You might have some of the design elements, but nothing is going to really be in the right place, and it ultimately is going to be just a completely different sweater. For example, when I'm knitting a top-down circular yoke, all of the neck sizes are the same. I do this because even when your chest gets larger, your neck really doesn't get much larger. But also, when you have a heavier sweater, a larger sweater is a heavier sweater, that puts more pressure on the neckline. That's gonna pull on it a little bit more. Your neckline is gonna stretch a little bit more. So ultimately, the larger sizes are gonna have a little bit bigger neckline anyway, just from the weight stretching it out a bit more. So that's why all of the necklines are the exact same size in my sweaters. If you change the gauge that you're working this sweater at, the first thing you're gonna change is the neckline circumference. It's either gonna be way too big or way too small. So before you even start your sweater, you're gonna have to completely recalculate the neckline so that you have a nice fitting neckline. And then you're gonna have to completely recalculate all of the increases through the entire yoke, because all of the increases, when you're doing a top down and you're doing the increases, all of the increases flow from that cast on number. So when you change that cast on number so that you can fix your neckline fit in your different gauge sweater, you're having to change all of the increases through the entire sweater. Not only that, but if your row gauge is significantly different, then you're also changing the placement of where the increases are sitting in the yoke. And you have to place the increases in very specific places throughout the yoke. Otherwise, your yoke's not gonna sit right. It's either gonna kind of pull upward. If you don't have enough increases at the top, it's gonna pull upward. It's gonna, if it's stiff enough, it'll like come up like this and sit up like this, really funny. But if your fabric is looser, you'll end up with like this weird bubble thing going on like this. And then if you have the opposite problem and you have too many increases at the top before you have body to fill that fabric in, you're gonna end up with a lot of weird ripples and puckers in the yoke. So it is very important that the increases are placed at a certain point in the yoke, otherwise your yoke's not gonna fit right. Also, the colorwork motif itself is designed for a certain number of rows. If you change your yarn weight and your row gauge drastically, your whole colorwork motif is going to be completely messed up. You'll either have just this tiny little necklace of colorwork instead of, you know, a whole yoke filled in, or you're going to have so much yoke by the time you're done with the colorwork chart that the yoke ends down at your elbow. It's just not going to work if you drastically change your gauge and then try to knit a certain sweater. It doesn't work, so please don't do that. The best way to knit a sweater, if you want to knit a sweater from a certain yarn, buy that yarn, then find a sweater that is worked up at a gauge appropriate to that yarn. If you want to knit a certain sweater, buy that pattern and then buy a yarn that works up at the gauge the sweater is written for. Don't try to pair a pattern and a yarn that don't have the same gauge. That's not going to work out well for you. I know that a lot of podcasters do it and they're playing with the math and they're messing things up. And it's a lot of math. You're going to have to completely remake this sweater from scratch almost if you want to have a good fit and a good result. If they want to do it, let them do it. But I don't think that they should do it, and I don't think that you should do it. I think you should just email the designer and say, hey, I really want to knit this sweater in a worsted weight yarn. And if she gets enough emails that say, hey, I really want to knit this sweater in a worsted weight yarn, she'll probably sit down and write that sweater design for a worsted weight yarn, because that is what I did for this next sweater. After my fletching came out, my fletching is written for a sport weight yarn. I received regular emails from people asking if they can knit my fletching in a worsted weight yarn. It is written for sport weight yarn. Don't do it. For the reasons I have just mentioned, don't do it. But later this fall, you will be able to knit my fletching in a worsted weight yarn, because here it is. This is my fletching again, and it is in a worsted weight yarn. This yarn I am using is Harrisville Designs Highland. I asked my followers on Instagram for suggestions for a worsted weight yarn, and the one that was most often recommended was Harrisville Designs Highland, which actually ticks all of my boxes that I have for yarn, and I have never used it before, which is kind of odd. So I bought 3 sweater quantities of this yarn, and yeah, I'm gonna knit a lot of sweaters in this yarn. For mine, this is mine. Of course, it's green and gray. You know I love green and gray. Let me look at the label so I can tell you the exact colors. The green is cypress, and the gray is, I always put the yarn tags inside the ball so I know what it is. Silver Mist. It is a beautiful combination. It is an absolutely stunning combination, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. So this is my Fletching Worsted. It's in a worsted weight yarn. I'm going to stand up and show it to you. One change I made is I now have a double folded collar. Since it's a worsted weight yarn, I thought it would be fun to do a nice thick double folded collar. Although that one is super easy to change. If you don't want to have a double folded collar, you just cast on and then knit until the collar is 1 inch or 1.5 inches deep, whatever depth you want it to be, and then you ignore the rest of the neckline instructions and jump on into the rest of the yoke. So here it is. The color work is very simple, very short floats, very easy to do. It has a very beautiful and dramatic effect to it. It looks very Nordic, if I'm going to be honest. It looks very Scandi. I don't know if that's an actual term people use, but like you would go to, you know, Denmark and you would see ladies on the street wearing this. That's what it looks like to me. Very simple color work, but it's very fun and enjoyable to knit, and it's knit top down. So I have cropped it just a little bit. One problem I was running into last winter is, since I knit so many of my sweaters to wear with jeans, I don't actually have a lot of sweaters to wear over top of my dresses and skirts, and I wanted some that were shorter, so I knit one that was shorter. Hang on a minute and I can show you, because I am actually wearing a dress right this minute. I decided to crop it, but you don't have to crop it. You could knit it to full length. The children's version I'm going to knit for my 11-year-old, and she is a jeans and t-shirt girl, so I'm going to knit hers full length. I knit her a cropped sweater last year and she never wore it. So here it is. I'll stand up and show it to you. It's not blocked, so it's sitting a little funny. Here it is. And that's how it'll look. It looks really nice with this dress, doesn't it? Very nice. So the changes in this sweater from the sport weight version of it are, it has a completely different neckline, it has completely different increases, and accommodations have been made for how deep each band of color work is. The sport weight version has 4 bands of color work for the smaller sizes, and then the larger sizes have 5, whereas for this one you can only fit 3 bands in the yoke because your row gauge is different. So you have to change the color work in order to adjust to the different row gauge. So here it is, my Fletching Worsted, and it has been sent to the tech editor. I think I have it back already, but I haven't started the test knit yet. Or did I start the test knit? I can't remember what I'm doing. I'll have to look. Anyway, so there is my current whip, and don't change the yarn weight you use in a sweater is today's rant of the day. But this sweater will come out later this fall. I haven't decided on a release date for it yet, but this one will be out later this fall. The other yarn I bought for the other 3 sweaters is the children's version of this. So it's going to be flip-flopped colors. It's going to be gray main color and green for the contrast color, because I thought it would be fun for people to be able to see what the design looks like with a dark main color and a light contrast color, and a light main color and a dark contrast color, kind of to flop the color schemes there. I thought it would be fun for you to be able to see that difference there. This is going to be so pretty. I'm really going to love having this one. You know I love green and gray. So that is all of my knitting for today. That is all I have to share with you. You might think that for as long as I've been gone, I would have more to share with you today. I do have another whip, but I can't show it to you. It is my contribution to Bare Naked Wool's Red Scarf fundraiser, and they asked me not to share it during the process this year. So I won't be sharing that with you until the pattern comes out sometime in October, but I'm working on that one. And yeah, that's what I have to share with you today. Somebody keeps signing my children up for activities. Wonder who that could be. And so I'm very busy with children's activities. Even though we homeschool, we do a lot of extracurriculars, I guess you would say. Middle school volleyball started this last week, and my 11-year-old just loves volleyball, so she's on that team. Because even though we homeschool, you can still do public school sports as a homeschooler. So has practice literally every single day. Hooray. But she really loves that. So anyway, I think I'm going to buy a crock pot because I don't actually own one, and just start making every weekday dinner in the crock pot, because I can just make it in the morning when I make breakfast and then dinner is done. Because the worst thing with these sports nonsense is dinner because it's always at dinner time that you're picking them up or dropping them off, and so your dinner is just completely messed up. So I think we're just going to use a crock pot for all of our meals during the week moving forward until sports are over, because it is a lot, and I need to try to not stress myself out completely, and I need to try to knit more. So please subscribe to my channel, and I will come back in another month and a half, 2 months, with another video with more sweaters to show you. And make sure you head over to Ravelry or my website and grab your copy of Autumn Snowfall. It's all in a lump now. Make sure you grab your copy of Autumn Snowfall and sign up for my email newsletter so you do not miss my Fletching Worsted when it comes out. Thank you so much for being here with me and watching, and until next time, happy knitting. Bye.